Namaste, World Raiser. So today let's talk about, the ultimate debate of duality versus non-duality. So of course, we can all agree that we are in a dualistic, what appears to be a dualistic matrix, right? We perceive ourselves as separate from each other. Well, yeah, that's obvious, right? So we have our own body, we have our own mind, we have our own consciousness, ego, perceptions, feelings, emotions, and then other. Everything else is other than ourselves, so it appears. But the highest teachings in all of the great world scriptures, the very, very tippy top coming from direct perception from the mystics, even Jesus Christ, even the ones who founded all of the world religions are stemming from the power of non-duality, a connection with the divine that's beyond just this. And of course, there's various degrees and levels to that. Yeah, a full, connection non-dually with the absolute is an incredibly, incredibly high level of consciousness. So there's degrees to that. But ultimately, it's like, what are we questioning is the ultimate potentiality of an infinite source of absolutely everything in existence. So to be infinite and all-powerful would mean that it is one with the creation, one with everything, right? And that's the ultimate teachings within Sanatana Dharma teach that. That's also what consciousness calibration research, if you look into Dr. David R. Hawkins and the work that he did, that's coming up. And anybody who's, enlightened, who's had a direct perception of absolute reality, that's what they're going to tell you. That there is a non-dual means one without a second, right? There's only one thing in reality, and it's this infinite field of consciousness. So it's infinite, it's omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. So everywhere, all powerful, and aware of absolutely everything, right? And it's transcendent and immanent, which means transcendent means beyond, not part of the creation. Immanent means within and part of it, right? So there's some religious traditions, one in particular, that refuses to accept that people can be one with God, right? And that's like, there's an analogy from, Dr. Hawkins, and he would say, well, that's like believing, that the universe is like a block of Swiss cheese with a bunch of holes in it, right? And then the holes represent the people, and that God can't be within the people, which, is ridiculous. So anyways, back to the higher debate of even ultimate reality, if God is everything or separate. So that's getting into, Sri Krishna, for example, saying that, he is both everything, but he's also separate. He's not disturbed by any ons in the world and the negativities within, because he's entirely beyond, but also the source of absolutely everything in existence. So he can maintain his separation, but at the same time be everything, because it's an infinite potentiality. So then the debate goes away, because if you're saying that God is unlimited, then of course he can be both. He can be the source and the substrate of absolutely everything in existence, and then he can also maintain an aspect of himself that is separate, right? So then these get into the realms beyond this physical universe. And we know that there's an infinite number of infinite universes, material universes. And then there's even more energy and power for spiritual realms, spiritual universes, right? So these would be the realms that people go to when their journey through samsara is over and they succeeded and they've been liberated and they've attained moksha and then the higher realms. So whether they're attaining that as a pure consciousness, formless, is entirely possible, or as form, if they reincarnate into form bodies and then live out eternity in bliss and peace and joy, right? So the heavenly realms are entirely possible. So the whole debate of duality versus non-duality, yeah, it just goes away when you surrender to the fact that ultimately it's beyond existence and non-existence. It's beyond our capacity to comprehend and understand, such high, profound wisdom. So it's our duty to surrender to, okay, what is it? If there's only one source and there's a God that's separate from us, like what is that? What would God want? If he's the source of everything and everyone, then even though he's separate, he would still want us to come together as people, which is why it's important to say that, yeah, from that perspective, we're still one family. We're one family, or we're one in reality. So then that leads to behavior and how do we act and what is appropriate behavior in this world. So you get the morality and the ethics, but more so with a higher understanding, then it becomes automatic, right? You automatically want to be a good person, care about others, pray for others, wish for their well-being, forgive them, understand that we're all in a journey together, and by freeing others from your judgments and your scorn and your spite, you're freeing yourself, right? So that's ultimately what it's all about. Suffering comes up, and we got to seek to undo and alleviate that suffering, and then figure out how to not suffer more, to free ourselves from that cycle. And then we transcend and we get into the higher levels of consciousness, into blissful states of pure joy, love, surrender. And it's very, 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 very powerful. And then ultimately, some higher and higher direct realizations will come of our unity with the ultimate reality. And then, and that's liberation. That's salvation. So the different religions are teaching the path in different ways, but some of them are more strict and rigid and thinking that they have the upper hand, which really is creating all the world's problems. If religions would acknowledge that there is many paths and many traditions, and really what it's about is acknowledging that God is ultimate and unlimited in any way, then we can surrender and allow people to practice the path and the tradition that they choose, right? And then surrender all judgments, surrender all opinions, surrender all negativities onto God. So it's an entirely inner journey to seek the truth within, the inner self, the higher realizations, the God within, the higher levels. And that's what it's about. So anything negative that's happening, coming from the external world, we really got to form a barrier there, a detachment or a non-attachment. So you're in the world, but you're not of it. You're not letting the negativities affect you because everybody's, going through their own journey, their own thing. So anyways, hope you guys understand what I'm talking about. God is unlimited. Do not place limitations on the ultimate truth. All right, hope that settles the debate. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I love you. Raise yourself, raise the world. Peace.